Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone, taught me this truth and rule well. And I want to say Shalom to Yaakov and Akwat out there pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. This one's titled, Slavery Doesn't Just Come in One Size. You are a slave. Okay, once again, slavery doesn't just come in one size. You are a slave. This one's a little bit of a shorter lesson, more than likely. We're just touching on a couple points. All right, and that's that. All right, and these devils, man, they got a lot coming to them. And actually, I just remembered I got to go and get the picture. Bear with me one moment. I'm gonna pause this, go grab it, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back. So I got the screenshot here. You see a couple images I generated. That'll probably be a topic for another lesson. But really, we'll go ahead and show it. We'll show one of them. All right, and I had to jump through some hoops to generate these. And here's one. You got Esau in chains. All right, and then here's another one here. I had to get around it. By, but I don't like that it's pink. I have to, post process and fix some things up. All right, but I had to type in pink man, and then after a while, it eventually, put Esau here as pink man, and I was like, well, that's what I was hoping for, but you got to jump through hoops and stuff. And I guess I'll just show it in this lesson too. Might as well. I don't have anywhere to show it, but this is the real photo that inspired the lesson. The other ones I was just messing around with. I found this on Reddit. It says, Peter Sweet, in fact, white people abolish slavery. How come we never hear about this? And this guy comments back and says, who else was going to do it? The slaves? All right, Esau always wants some credit for some shit. That's so fucking retarded. White people abolish slavery. How come we never hear about this? Because you're the ones who were fucking enslaving. You shouldn't have been doing it in the first place, you fucking idiot. But, hey, Esau doesn't get it. All right, they think that they did something good. Okay, they don't get it. And you, Jake, you are a slave. You think that you're not a slave, but you're still a slave today. Okay, and we're gonna prove that. Now we got Deuteronomy 28 and 48 that we're gonna grab right off the bat. Okay, let's go get that real quick. It says Deuteronomy 28 and 48. Now this is in the curses. Okay, you can go and read all the way through these. All right, from verse 1 all the way on down to see all the curses that we've been put under as Israelites. All right, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. That's what they call us. Call us Negroes or Latinos or Native Americans. All right, but our people are actually the Israelites that the Bible speaks of. All right, and those of you that have been here, you know that, but it's just for the new people that are coming in. They might not have never heard of this before. Okay, so Deuteronomy 28 and 48, this is one of the curses that were put on our people because we were disobedient to the Lord, right? Worshipping false gods, all right, doing heathen customs, other customs of other nations. Deuteronomy 28 and 48, therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he hath destroyed thee. Now I can actually go to my photos here and go, I think it's just in pictures and in screenshots. You can see here, this is a yoke. All right, this is a yoke, and these ones were made out of logs. All right, and they were used to do what? It says to prevent slaves from escaping. And there are actual iron yokes. If you go and look up iron, if you just look up the word iron yoke, okay, you will see a so-called black man. All right. Well, first you're gonna see, what is it, roots. All right, but there's an actual image. Here it is, of a black man. All right, in a yoke. Okay. Here's another one right here. Here's another one. Right. So those are mentioned in Deuteronomy. All right. You don't see white people when iron yoke comes up. Okay. You don't see white people. All right, you see so-called not so-called brown. You see brown people, or aka so-called black people. All right, in these things. Okay, and that's directly, corresponding to Deuteronomy 28 and 48. Okay, Like it says, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. All right, Esau put yokes of iron upon our necks. All right, it was primarily with Southern Kingdom, but Northern Kingdom was and still is in captivity to this day. All of us are. All right, all of us are. The so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are all still in captivity, and we're gonna prove that, okay, in just a moment. So, because you got to realize, the state that we're in, we can't really afford houses like that. You have to, it's hard to afford vehicles. All right, it's hard to, all your money spent on food. You barely get by. And a lot of people don't think of that as slavery. But if you go back and look how slavery was in ancient Rome, and we're currently still in Rome, we're in New Rome, all right, Babylon, all right, which still ran by these Romans. If you go and look at, Rome's done. If you go and look at Roman currency and then look at American currency, well, how does it look? If you go and look at how Rome always used the eagle and America always used the eagle, how does that look? Okay, we are in Rome again. All right, we are in Rome again. Okay, so there's Deuteronomy 28 and 48. We'll read it one more time in its entirety. Deuteronomy 28 and 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies. So we will be serving our enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee. The Lord's going to do it. Why? Because we were doing wrong against the Lord. It says, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he hath destroyed thee. Now, we're not in, this type of slavery anymore. All right, we're not, on those plantations anymore. But we still have to, travel to go to basically go to a plantation every day and put in hard work. All right, which we call jobs. Okay, but it's not the same thing. It's a different flavor. Okay, just because it isn't as quote unquote bad as it once was doesn't mean that slavery was gone. They said they abolished slavery, but in a lot of ways it's still around in a different flavor. Okay, it's just a different flavor. They're still selling birth certificates. All right, there's still prisons and stuff. That's a form of captivity as well, because those prisons shouldn't even exist. All right, because either if they stole lots of money, they should have been freed. All right, because that's not a punishment by sitting in somewhere forever. They should be freed, and they have to pay back double. All right, they'd pay back more than they stole from. Okay, and the people that murder, the people that did they raped little children, or they did things like drug charges. All those people really would have been put to death biblically. Okay, so that's just a form of just keeping people, and Esau's weird little thing because they get money off those prison systems. Okay, and if you read, we can go and let's see. There's actually we can go. Well, what's gonna happen? Verse 49: The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, because we spoke Hebrew, right? And then we can go on down, and there's a lot of you'd benefit to read all of it. But if we go down, come on, all the way down to the bottom, it says what? Deuteronomy 28 and 68, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. And in this case, no, you were bought. Yeah, this means buy as in, deliverance, all right, and saving us out of our situation. Okay, so we're in spiritual Rome, spiritual Sodom, spiritual Egypt, all right, New Babylon, all right. If you don't believe it, hey, no one's forcing you to believe it, but that is the case. If you don't believe it, hey, we can't force you to believe anything, but that is the case. Okay, so we're gonna go and get Revelation 13:10. It's really supposed to be Exodus 21 and 16. But before we get any of these scriptures, all right, we're gonna prove real quick, all right, because we opened up with our one, and we want to prove a couple things. Well, and so let's prove this, all right, so we can get to the scriptures. So this is slavery in ancient Rome. Now I want to read this here, and we have a couple. Well, not a couple. We have an excerpt from the De Clementia, all right, which is of clemency, which is, I believe, of mercy. All right, on mercy. All right. Yeah, on mercy in English. All right, which is a book that was written by Seneca the Younger. All right, who was a Roman Stoic philosopher, to the Emperor Nero. All right, Donald Trump. All right, look at Donald Trump's ass sitting there. Right? So, that was a book that was written him on mercy, De Clementia. All right, and he has an excerpt, an article in here, all right, which talks about, making sure the slaves aren't, can't see who they are. You can look around and make sure that the slaves don't know they're slaves, right? Because, we'll explain why. We'll get it. We'll let Seneca the Younger do the explaining on his book, right? We'll just read the words that he wrote. It says, slavery in ancient Rome played an important role in society and the economy. All right, so still this day, all right, what we're doing, all right, and you say we're not in slaves, we're going to show you what type of work these slaves did, all right, to prove that we are still in slavery, all right, you just don't believe it, all right, our role in society helps the economy, all right, if we're not doing what we're doing, those elites and those big, the people over us aren't making money, right? It says unskilled or low-skill slaves labored in the fields, mines, and mills. All right, with few opportunities of advancement and little chance of freedom. Stop. So that today would be your construction work. All right, and that's not saying those brothers are low skilled. It's just saying that's a hard work. All right, but you get decent money from it. All right. Well, they didn't get money. Slaves don't get money. That's not true. That's not true. We'll prove that in a moment. So it says skilled and educated slaves, including artisans, chefs, domestic staff and personal attendees, entertainers, business managers, accountants and bankers, educators at all levels, all right, and secretaries, librarians, civil servants, physicians occupied a more privileged tier of servitude and could hope to obtain freedom through several well-defined paths with protections under the law. All right. So, and you could keep on, going down and down and down, but they still had, and it says, so these are where they came from. All right, the skilled and educated slaves, quote unquote, artisans, and they were still being artisans and chefs, all right, and entertainers, all right, business managers. They were still doing those roles because they were educated in those things. Okay, so you look, we're not slavery, yeah, because you got people like Drake or you got people like Cardi B. Well, guess what? They're still slaves. All right, they just happen to be entertainers. Who are they entertaining? Who are they entertaining? All right, they have to entertain someone, the slave master, man. So it says, at all levels of employment, free working people, former slaves, and enslaved mostly did the same kind of jobs. They worked the same type of jobs. There you go. Elite Romans whose wealth came from property ownership saw little difference between slavery and a dependence on earning wages from labor. Very little difference between slavery and dependence on getting wages from doing work. So, very little difference between slavery and working a job. Okay? There you go. Slaves were themselves considered property under Roman law, and had no rights of legal personhood. Unlike Roman citizens, by law they could be suspected to corporal punishment, sexual exploitation, torture, and summary execution. Okay, the most brutal forms of punishment were reserved for slaves. The adequacy of their diet, shelter, clothing, and healthcare was dependent on their perceived utility to owners whose impulses might be cruel or situationally humane. Look at that, man. So you could, sexual exploitation, and that's happening with our people. Torture. They could torture you if they wanted to, all right, and they could execute you if they wanted to. If they deemed you worthy of being executed, if they say you killed someone and you're in Texas and you didn't really kill somebody, but they said you did, they can execute you, all right? And how good your diet and shelter and clothing are dependent on your owner, all right? So, and who you working for, right? Who are you working for? So, and you could continue to read this on and on and on and on and on, all right? But you won't, all right, because you don't want to, and I'm not saying for you brothers and sisters, all right, because you understand this. I'm saying for these people that try to say that we're not in slavery. Because we get paid for our work. We're free now, brother. We get paid for our work. Yeah, well, guess what? The Roman slaves got paid. And like it says, going back down here, it says, where was it? It says, elite Romans whose wealth came from property ownership saw little difference between slavery and a dependence on earning wages from labor. Dependence on earning wages from labor? That's what we call a job. All right? We are dependent on earning wages from labor. We are dependent on we're dependent on Yahweh Shem Shai, but as far as making money as it would be on the outside looking in, really Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is the one that allows us to get the jobs that we do have. It's all through Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. But on the outside looking out, we are dependent on the money that we make to pay for our water, to pay for our gas, to pay for our homes, our rent, to pay for our car gas, to pay for insurance, to pay for cars, to pay for, if you don't have a car, bus transportation, or to help whoever's getting you from place to place. The food, the everything. You know, we are dependent on a job. We have to work jobs in this society. And there's very little difference, as it says, very little difference between slavery and working a job. Or if you want to call it, as it says here, dependence on earning wages from labor. A job. That's what they call a job. Okay, what is a job? Let's go look up a job. What is a job? All right, not a job, but a job is what? Job definition.
Job.
A paid position of employment, all right? A task or piece of work, especially one that is paid, okay? You do something to get paid. You do work to get paid. Dependence on earning wages from labor. You do labor, you earn wages. That's a job, okay? There's very little difference between slavery and a job. You get that? You understand it? You see? No, whatever you say. Whatever you say. All right, that's what you fucking idiots sound like. All right, that's my voice I use for you people, because that's what you sound like. You just sound like a confused spewing of words that doesn't make any sense because you're trying to prove your point. No, the slaves weren't paid, man. The slaves weren't paid. Slavery doesn't get you paid. Yeah, well, in some cases it does. All right, this is from a college. This is a college report. I guess it's from School of Graduate Studies by East Tennessee State University, right? And I don't know who it's by. It's a student work by Andrew Mason Burtz, all right? And he did the study. He did the research. Down here, slave rights. Under here, slave rights says what? Most slave owners allowed their slaves some measure of freedom. Some measure. We have the perceived ability to have freedom, right? But we really don't. Slaves could own their own property. We can own our own property. Though this normally consisted of money, this property was called a peculum. Often masters paid their slaves for their services, though this compensation was normally nominal. Okay? Nominal means what? Nominal says insignificant. All right, insignificant, right? Not very much. We get paid, don't we? We are slaves and we get paid, but it's nominal. We don't get paid shit, man. It don't matter what job you're in. You're not getting paid for what you're doing. You know, some people get paid less than that. Well, we're not getting paid a living wage. We are not getting paid a living wage. We are getting paid nominally. Says why a slave's peculum technically belonged to his or her master. It was uncouth for a master to appropriate his or her slave's holdings. A slave could use his or her money for nearly any purpose. Two uses, however, were most common. The first was the purchase of a slave of his or her own. It was possible for slaves to purchase their own slave to either do their work for them or to do any other various tasks they wished. The second common use for a peculum was to purchase one's own freedom, which we cannot do. All right, but there you go. You can go and read this. All right, this guy is also obviously got to leave a little bit of a head on his shoulder. All right, he did the study. All right, so there you go, man. So what you think is slavery is not, you know, there's not just one side. All right, slavery doesn't just come in one size. It doesn't, or one size, one flavor. All right, that's not how it goes. You have the slavery where you have the yokes upon your neck and they're beating you and saying, do the work, you know, and calling us bywords, right, and beating us over the goddamn head and whipping us. And then you have, you know, slavery where you have the perceived freedom, all right, but you have to go and work a 9 to 5 every single day, or, you know, you get your weekends off, all right, you know, and get your time to go and pay your bills and all that stuff and then go back to work, right? That's slavery. That is slavery. Then you have to pay taxes to the state, or you have to pay taxes to the government, and then, you know, they take your money, and then you get a tiny little sliver that you pay for food, and then you're done. You'll never own your house, you'll never own anything, and you will like it, okay? That's how it is. Slavery doesn't just come in one fucking size, man. It's not just that fucking that banjo or the guitar, the hawk. You're out there with a sweat bead dripping down your face, all right, with the chain, and you got a shovel. No, it's not always that. Sometimes, all right, it's going to your construction job every day, 9 to 5, or hell, 9 to 8, working fucking 14-hour shifts, 15-hour shifts, 16-hour shifts, long at 18-hour shifts, long as shit. Go home, sleep, do it all again. Go home, sleep, do it all again. All right, it doesn't just come in one size. You are a slave. All right, whether you believe it or not, you are a slave, Jake. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you are a slave. You are a slave and you are a servant. Who do you serve? All right, in this society, you do all this work for who? Who are you lining pockets? All right, the white man. All right, all the money you're making goes back to the white man. You are a slave. You are still his slave. You were never freed. He just, remove the yoke off your neck and said, all right, go on. All right. Oh, now you got to get a job and work for us. And here, here's $1. Here's a nickel for the day. So, and these devils are gonna pay, man. They're gonna pay for what they've done. Okay. Let's get Exodus. Well, before we get the scripture, let's close it out, and then let's get what's gonna happen to these devils. Okay. This is the De Clementia, all right, and the De Clementia, we don't have to really read it again what it is because we read it, but again, De Clementia is what it says. It's translated as on mercy. It says it's a hortatory essay written in AD 55 to 56 by Seneca the Younger, a Roman Stoic philosopher, to the Emperor Nero in the first 5 years of his reign, okay? And this is the English translation right here of Clemency, book 1, all right, and article section 14, right, is what we're in. So article 14 says what? Going down here, I have it highlighted. Article 14 says a proposal was once made in the Senate to distinguish slaves from freemen by their dress, by outfits, right? It was then discovered how dangerous it would be because we're not wearing slave clothes, are we? We're not wearing, those rags. We're not looking like Kunta Kinte, all right? Are we? No, we wear clothes, Walmart clothes, Target clothes, Gucci clothes sometimes, this clothes, nice brands sometimes not so brands, different brands, right? It was then discovered how dangerous it would be for slaves to be able to count our numbers. You wouldn't want everybody to look around and be like, oh shit, he's a slave. He's a slave? Oh, we're all slaves? It says, be assured that the same thing would be the case if no one's offense is pardoned. It will quickly be discovered how far the number of bad men exceeds that of the good. Many executions are as disgraceful to a sovereign as many funerals are to a physician. And we don't have to continue to read on. It basically says that, let's read it again, a proposal was once made in Senate to distinguish slaves from freemen by their dress. Hey, we should, make these slaves all wear the same outfit so we can distinguish them. And then what? It was then discovered how dangerous it would be for our slaves to be able to count our numbers. To, be able to see and be like, oh shit, look, we outnumber them. We outnumber them. And that's why they do the same shit today with these fucking, what do they call them? They come to your house and say, oh, how many people living here, what race, and all that shit. And then they say what? Oh, black people are only, this percent of the population. 3% of the population. Oh, Mexicans are only this percent of the population. No. We severely outnumber these people. Severely outnumber them. But they have to keep us thinking that we don't. And what better way to make it look like Esau outweighs Israel than to stick all the black and brown, all right, so-called, and stick all the black and brown in Compton, Harlem. Stick them in Harlem. Stick them in Charlotte, right? North Carolina. Stick them in Detroit, right? Stick them in LA. Stick them in these specific small groups of societies, right? And these black and brown communities, and keep them there where you have a fucking huge dense number of our people. All right, shitloads of so-called black people, shitload of so-called Mexicans, right? And you have Mexican communities, black communities, all right? Like you go down, or Native American communities down in New Mexico, down in Arizona, you'll see a shitload of so-called Mexicans and a shitload of Native Americans. All right, you go to Charlotte, North Carolina, you're gonna see a shitload of so-called black people. All right, and they stick us in these places because if we just and they get us in that mindset so we never leave, and their so-called black children grow up in Harlem, and then they have children, and then those so-called black children, and then they never leave. All right, because if we all scattered across the United States, you'd realize that we severely outnumber these. That's why you see, look, see, it's all white people here. It's all white people. Yeah, of course, it's all white people in fucking Washington. Okay, of course. Okay, of course, it's all white people in Aspen. Okay, of course, because you've actively kept the black and brown out. Okay, but if the black and brown didn't have this mindset that was put onto us, all right, we just swarmed everywhere and weren't just stuck up in these certain communities that were laid up for us, and you took everybody from Compton and Harlem and New Mexico and all the black and brown, all the Native Americans, all the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and got them out of these communities and just let them live amongst all these communities, you would see that there's not so many white people around. You would see that the streets would be looking awfully chocolate. It would be flowing with chocolate, right? That's what you'd see. All right, but all of our people stay in Harlem. All of our people stay in, little places in Arizona, right? Parker, Arizona. All right, Yuma, Arizona, man. All right, I used to live up in that area for a little bit when I was very young. All right, and you'll see who you go to Parker or you go to Yuma. What are you gonna see? You're not gonna see no white people. Hell no, you're not. You're gonna see a bunch of brown. If you look up Yuma, Arizona, it's right on there. It's right on the border, man. If you look up Yuma, Arizona, it's cool, man. Yuma's a cool place. But if you look at it, now there's white people, but these look like Native Americans to me, actually. On second look, yeah, these aren't white people. These aren't white people, and there are white people there. All right, just like they are everywhere. All right, but Parker and Yuma. Parker and Yuma are brown, man. Very brown. You got white people there, of course. But there's a big Native American, Parker, Arizona natives. I didn't even have to fully type it in, but yeah. I guess they were doing it in Parker. If you go to Arizona, you're wondering where all the natives are. There's no Indians around. Go to Arizona. Go to Parker. All right, go to Parker. Go to a couple places, man. Go to a couple places. You'll see them. All right. So this is what's gonna happen to you devils, man. All right, because you guys have and who's you devils? You Edomites, you so-called white people. This is Exodus 21:16. It says, and this is because you think you want a brownie button because you quote unquote freed us. Ain't the case. This is Exodus 21:16. He that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. And I believe this is one of the scriptures that was cut out of the slave Bible. Yes, the specific scriptures used for black Americans. What do they call it? What is it called? Slave Bible. What do they call it? Select parts of the Holy Bible for use of the Negro slaves in the British West Indian Islands. Okay, the slave Bible. The slave Bible. What scriptures did they cut out? Let's see. I bet Exodus 21's in there. Let's see. Exodus 21. Exodus 21:16. Yep. I wonder why they cut that out there. It says British missionaries used it in the education and conversion of enslaved population. The editors included only 10% of the Old Testament and half of the New Testament. For examples, among the excluded passages are Galatians 3:28. Right? There's neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither bond nor free. There is neither male nor female. For ye are all one through Yahushua Mashiach. Exodus 21:16 and Deuteronomy 23:16 through 17. What's that? Do we have that? Deuteronomy 23:16. What does it say? It says, "You shall not hand it over to your masters, any slaves who have taken refuge with you from their master." What else do we have? And then they switch the scriptures around to make it seem like, you have to obey your. All right, and so this is Exodus 21:16 again. And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. That's what's happening to these devils, man. Y'all are gonna be put to death. Okay, y'all are gonna be put to death. This is Revelation 13:10. We're kind of quick firing these ones out because we've got all the proof that you're still in captivity. Now, what's gonna happen to these people that put you in captivity? Revelation 13:10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So you Edomites, you led into captivity. All right, what's going to happen? You're going to go into captivity. Yes, Yes, those black and brown people. All right, I'm not gonna say it because you know YouTube will take it down. You know the bywords you've called us. All right, you know that you've took us into captivity. You're gonna go into captivity. All right, you killed us with the sword. You're gonna be killed with the sword. Right? It's not gonna be pretty. It's not gonna be pretty, and that's part of our reward that Yahweh Shai is gonna give us, because you got to realize Yahweh Shai is sharing his inheritance. All right, as you know, as firstborn, he gets things that are blessed to him. The firstborn, all right, gets an inheritance. They get a reward. Okay, and Yahweh Shai, you know, is gonna share that with us. All right, because he's a nice guy. That's why. Okay, because he's a nice guy. He's righteous. He's great. All right, and he's humble, and he's merciful, and he's gonna share his portion, all right, his reward with us, and that's a beautiful thing. Okay, and really that also means, you know, he's the firstborn, so he gets first pick. So that when those people go into captivity, these heathens, not just the Edomites, but the Edomites, the so-called white people, the Moabites, the so-called Asian, the so-called Chinese, really, the Ishmaelites, the so-called Middle Easterners, all these people, Yahweh Shai is going to have first pick. He's going to have first draft pick, man. He's going to choose who he wants. All right, he's going to choose who he wants, and he's going to be able to choose, you know, and it's more likely going to be these elites, man. And that's going to be bad. You wouldn't want to be one of Yahweh Shai's slaves. That, wouldn't want to be it. All right, so you people are going to go into captivity. You led in captivity, you're going to go into captivity. All right, and that's part of our reward, because that's part of Yahweh Shai's reward, and Yahweh Shai is sharing his reward with us. Okay, and it's right here. It says Isaiah 14:2, and the people shall take them and bring them to their places, and the house of Israel, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the house of Israel shall do what? Shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were. All right, we were their captives, now they're our captives. And they shall rule over their oppressors. And they shall rule over their oppressors. It's written right here. Right here. You can't deny it. You can't say, oh, that's hate speech. It's right in the Bible. You just don't understand it. Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall rule, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. And I always like verse 3 too. It says Isaiah 14:3, and it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve. Yeah, there we go. I gotta read it. I love this whole message right here. That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased, because it's done, man. The oppressor's done, right? And I like 7 is great too. It says, the Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. After you fucking idiots have been taken down. All right, everyone's gonna be, the whole earth's gonna be at rest. It can't be at rest with you fuckers in rulership. All right, you wicked ass demons. All right, everything you do is just unjust and wicked, man. All right, it's not gonna be like that when we rule. This is Psalms 2:8, and you got blood to pay, man. This is you got a debt that needs it's you got to pay the piper, man. Psalms 2:8 through verse 9. It says, ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance. It's going to be part of our inheritance. And the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. We're going to be, having, land. All right. And we're going to have slaves. All right. It says, thou shalt break them. Are we going to be being nice to them? Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Y'all don't like it when we talk about this. You get your feelings hurt. My feelings. Fuck your feelings. All right. You had no problem doing the dirt, but you don't want to pay it back. We don't give a shit about you. Jeremiah 30:16 says, therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured. You devoured us. You did all these terrible things to us. Guess what? It's coming back. It says, and all thine adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. You guys don't want this part to happen. All right, you don't want that to happen. You don't. All right, we're gonna close out with this. All right, I wish I would have had more scriptures to sprinkle through the lesson. They're kind of all, quick fire at the end. But hey, we wanted to prove, through scriptures, all right, you devils are going to captivity, all right, and then prove the historical accounts that slavery isn't just, having a chain, all right, and being whipped in the back, all right. It's a concept that goes farther than that, all right, further than that, all right. Working a 9 to 5 is slavery. All right, getting paid, you work a 9 to 5, getting paid $7 an hour, $10, $13, $14 an hour, all right, is not equivalent to the fucking groceries that you have to buy, to the fucking rent that you have to pay, to the gas, to all these bills, all right, and the people these days, well, and I myself included, none of us will ever be able to own a fucking house, all right, and it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, we're not going to be living here, all right, we're going to be, Lord willing, delivered, all right, out of here. One way or another, our people, even the 2/3, are not going to be staying in Babylon, all right? It's going to be a new kingdom, all right? Yahweh Shai's kingdom, all right? And, there's going to be wherein dwelleth righteousness, right? That's the kingdom that we're looking for, right? Roughly paraphrasing. So, a house really doesn't matter here, but, 20, 30 years ago, it's still... you could not afford a home. You could not afford a house. We cannot afford things here. All right, you can't just go. A lot of the people, all right, can't just go and just buy a car. You have to finance. You have to lease it. You have to pay it off monthly installments. All right, you can't afford to buy this. What do you have to do? You have to get a credit card and pay it off in monthly installments. You can't afford this. Some fucking putting food on a credit card because you can't afford the food. You have to pay for your food in fucking monthly installments. Okay, that is slavery. That is slavery. You can't even afford the food that you eat, and you have to pay it off on a fucking credit card, man. Okay? And that's how it is for all of us. Okay? That's how it is for all of us. You work a job, and then you still have to use a credit card to get credit because you don't have shit. Okay? And that's the state of the society that we're in. Slavery doesn't just come in one size. You have to use a credit card to buy a goddamn burger at Burger King and you got to eat that poisonous shit because it's cheap because you can get a burger for $2 and you can't even afford it. You got to put it on a credit card. That's fucking slavery, man. You're a slave. You are a slave, Jake. And these devils, man, that have done this shit to us, that have done this to our people, you're going into captivity. You're going to be devoured. All right, we're going to rule over you. You're going to get the shit beaten out of you. All right, we're going to tell you to pick those apples. You're going to pick them. We're going to say shovel that shit. You're going to shovel it. All right, we're going to beat the shit out of you, and that's the state that it's going to be in. There's nothing you can do. No matter crying or tears or begging or pleading is going to help you. You are the one nation, Esau specifically, that the Lord will have no form of mercy on. All right, everybody else after 1,000 years, the other heathens, all right, Moab, the so-called Chinese, Ammon, the so-called Japanese, Ishmael, the so-called Middle Easterners, all right, they're gonna go in their own Hamites, the so-called Africans, right? They're gonna be in their own land. We're still gonna be ruling over them, but not in captivity like that. Okay, so. They're gonna get out of that after 1,000 years, after they've paid their debt back. Your debt, the way you have to die, the way you have to go, Esau, is death, being vaporized, done, never returning as a nation again. All right, that's how it's gonna be for you because the amount of wickedness, and you've been the lead of this rebellion, so to speak. Esau, that's you. You've led it. You've led it with Moab on your left hand side. All right, with Ham on your right. All right, and all these other nations saying, look, come on, and then you fuck them over too. All right, but you've all had a portion. All right, all these heathens have had a portion in devouring Israel and doing terrible and horrible, hurtful things towards us, but no one as much as Esau. All right, that's why Esau gets a special punishment and they get to go away. All right, Obadiah 1:10, we're going to close out. It says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, yes, because you're our brother, Esau. All right, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. All right, you're going to be cut off forever. You're never going to come back. You're going to be done. All right, that's it. All right, and hey, we don't see you, wouldn't want to be you. That's it. All right, slavery doesn't come in just one size. You are a slave. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you are still slaves. We are still slaves. We still can't afford anything. We still have to go and do all this. That's a form of slavery. We just read it. We proved it historically. All right, but hey, if you're not gonna believe something from the, let's go and get one more. If I have told you worldly things. This is John 3 and 12, because we got scriptures and we got historical accounts that are not from the Bible. But John 3 and 12, if I have told you earthly things and you believe not, how shall you believe if I tell you of heavenly things? Okay? So if you don't believe, what we got dealing with historical accounts of slaves and Roman slavery, all right, if you don't believe that, how are you going to believe any of the scriptures that we just read? You're not. All right, you're not, because your brain's shut up and locked off, and that's just how it is. But hey, you're gonna get what's coming to you. All right, hey, and we look forward to it. Slavery doesn't just come in one size. You're a slave, Jake. All right, but we're gonna be delivered out of this soon. All right, Lord willing. So with that, we're going to close out. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone that taught me this truth and rule well. Shalom to you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring, keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Hey, these heathens, they're not getting off scot-free, man. They're going to be, it's going to be bad for them in the kingdom. Until next one, Lord willing, Shalom.